Today, I want to talk about the best SP success story that I have ever witnessed in my life. And it just unfolded recently. And I hope this story is really going to inspire you that, like my Solomon amulet says, there is only one thing that is stronger than death and everything else in the world, and that is love. Hello everyone, my name is Naya, and on this channel we talk about manifestation, law of assumption, attraction, quantum physics, and so much more. And on Patreon I do make extra video for all my followers and subscribers. Link is down below. DM coaching is also down below. But now let's get started with today's video because I am so happy. Like, my heart is overflowing with joy, and this is an SP success story about a friend of mine. She's one of my best friends, and she literally texted me this morning and said, please, I want you to make a video about this story because you guided me throughout the process of getting my SP back, and I really want everyone to know that this is possible. And I'm going to tell you everything and even the circumstances and the background of the story so you can get inspired and you can have your love back as well, because it is possible, and it's always up to you to create your own reality and decide what do you want to do with the mirror of reality. So I think this story is going to be very inspiring because I kind of coached her, even though she is my friend, but we were always together during summer. We were seeing each other every day, and she didn't know anything about the law of assumption, and neither, she knew a little bit about the law of attraction and The Secret because her mom read the book and she has a very close connection to her mom, but she never really applied these things. Like, mind you that she is a wonderful girl. She's very, she's in tune, with her intuition, and she believes, she's open to esoteric knowledge, but she never really practiced it. So this is a little bit her background. So she didn't really had a strong belief system in the law, or when I talked about the law of assumption for her, that was completely new. When I talked about Neville Goddard, that was completely new. So she didn't really have that a lot. And when we met, what happened was this in terms of circumstances. She recently split it up 6 months ago with her boyfriend, which was a really intense love between the two of them. And I firstly did a tarot reading for her because I do believe in the power of the tarot. Not because tarot should ever control our destiny, but tarot can be a wonderful tool to channel spirit guides and angels, which are real entities, in the spirit world. If you want to know more about how tarot and law of assumption can go hand in hand, according to my experience and my opinion, I made a dedicated video about that. You can find it on my channel. So I did a tarot reading for her, and I first of all, I didn't know him personally. I only saw him once, but I saw them together, and I knew they shared a true love between each other. And then when I did the tarot reading, I really felt that there was love between the two of them. Now, they split up in a really bad way because I personally believe, according to what she told me, that both of them lived in very unhealthy patterns within themselves first, and then they also put it back to the relationship, of course. So some sort of addictions here and there on both parts, and very intense kind of what everybody will define, in my opinion, as toxic relationship. But I think that we talked about it with her, and in my opinion, obviously that stemmed from the way she was feeling about herself, which projected also the way he was behaving, because in my opinion, she collapsed the quantum wave of the version of him that was the worst version ever for the most part, because she was also not the best version of herself. So obviously we live in a mirror reality, and the two things go hand in hand. So they have this troubled kind of toxic relationship for a while, but still beautiful because they still had beautiful moments and they still shared true love between each other. So she didn't come, in my opinion, as I'm obsessed with this person and it's not true love and I'm just simply obsessed and this is a selfish desire of mine. Not that you cannot manifest it, because hey, I've been there. You can even manifest a celebrity for selfish needs. I've been there and it worked. So you can do whatever the freaking hell you want, trust me. But in this particular case, in my opinion, she came from genuine love and they were both very genuine about each other, even though there was toxicity within the relationship. So what happened was they had an immense, huge fight and very bad situation, which I do not want to get in details because she gave me permission to do the video, but obviously this is very private stuff, so I do not want to share it online, the private details. But they had a huge fight, which you probably have been there before, you know, misunderstanding, him not showing up for her going really dramatic over this stuff, and then over texting, you know, the stuff that we all have been there, right? When we are in unhealthy patterns between ourselves and with another person. And then the terrible thing that happened was that he said to her, "I don't think I love you." Which obviously it's very heartbreaking. If you are with someone that you love that tells you after a year or two, "I don't think I love you," or "I ever loved you," or "I don't love you anymore," whatever the version of that is, it's very heartbreaking. So I obviously empathize with that because it is very heartbreaking. So she was heartbroken, completely devastated and heartbroken. So obviously the first initial emotion that she had was a little bit of obsession, sadness, heartbreaking, over texting, trying to patch the relationship, which can be translated only in trying to force the 3D to change without you changing, without your thoughts changing, okay? So that's the state I met her. She had problems, she had the credit card debt as well. She lost her job. It was one thing after the other. You know, when you go to that negative spiral, you guys have been there before. It's like every negative stuff that could happen all at once. And that's just because of the spiral of negative thoughts and negative energy, right? So I met her and I said, you know, I really think that there is genuine love between the two of you guys. So initially, it was pointless for me to talk to her about self-concept or to say work on yourself. It was completely pointless. She needed to arrive to that in her own time, in my opinion. So what I said to her, you know, there is this thing that is the law of assumption that I teach on YouTube. And if you will make this visualizations and this thing, he will come back to you. But what I want you to do is to stop watching Instagram stories as much as possible and to stop texting. You need to live as the person that already is with him back. Which obviously sounded ridiculous at the time due to the intensity of the breakup. So she followed me through and she got very excited and she started visualizing, doing sets even, because she likes visualizing and it's something that comes very natural to her. So I personally thought the visualization for her was the best method. So I said to her, visualize, since you are already a daydreamer, especially in drowsy state, which there is a scientific reason why SATs work, and you can find it on the replay to my webinar, the science behind the law of assumption, if you guys are interested to know the science behind SATs, which is state akin to sleep and drowsy states. So she started visualizing and doing hypnosis and things like this. Then I said to her just during the day, start to affirm that he loves you, he wants to be with you, he never said this, all of the stuff that we know about, right? So what started happening is that she started to feel very excited. She started to feel very confident about the visualization, but then nothing was happening. We have been all there before, right? Nothing was happening. But the visualization and all these things allowed her to at least stop forcing the 3D. She stopped texting, she stopped pushing for an outcome. She was just living more within herself in her dream reality. And the reason, and she was saying to me, but nothing is happening, he's not reaching out, he's gone, he's traveling somewhere, I don't know what he's doing, he's with these girls, whatever. And I said, it does not matter. You need to stop looking at the 3D and live more within yourself. And then she said, but what am I gonna do when I miss him? And I said, you have the perfect tool in your hands. I know that you miss him, but every single time that you want to be with him, remember, you can just close your eyes and feel every sensation of being with him. You can hear his voice. You can be with him in spirit. And if he is the one for you, if he's meant to be for you, because I do believe in Florence Scovel Shin and the divine match, he will come back to you. There is no shadow of a doubt. And I told her that, and she got convinced and she kept doing with the visualization. When she was feeling a little bit better then, after the visualization, she started feeling, you know what? Actually, if he doesn't come back, I don't care. And I was like, okay, good. Now we can work on something else. And I said, go with this feeling, never force to feel anything else than what you're feeling in the present moment, because I don't believe in forcing feelings. So if you're feeling right now that you want to let go of this particular manifestation, I just want you to know that you have asked for it and it's gonna come to you because you have already put the work. So you don't have to insist on visualizing or affirming, because when you ask is always given. And she said, oh, but what are you saying? And I said, no. I know he's gonna come back. Okay, fine, but I don't care anymore. And I said, even if you don't care, I just want you to know that he's gonna come back because you already put the work in. And she said, okay, fine. So then we started talking about, self-concept a little bit. And I said, we know he's gonna come back. We know he loves you. And we always had dinners talking about this, and I constantly repeat to her, he loves you, he loves you, he loves you, he loves you, to erase and revise the memory, the heartbreaking memory that she had. And then after that, I said, you know what? We know he's gonna come back. We cannot know when. We should never force the bridge of events. And I explained to her what a bridge of events is, stuff that we already know, right? And I said to her, it doesn't matter when he's coming back, but we know he's coming back. So why don't we have fun, or you don't have fun during the summer? Take care of yourself in the knowingness that he's gonna come. And she loved that idea because she started taking care of her body, buy herself nice clothes, doing her hair and makeup, finding a new job that she really liked. She started focusing on other manifestation, which I found very healthy for her. And she was more focusing on saying like, I'm beautiful, I'm awesome, this is gonna work, everything is working. Beautiful. She did everything right. And when she wanted, she was still visualizing for obviously SP, but never forcing it really. It was really natural to her to visualize for it or to affirm for it. So in the meantime, that she was glowing. She was glowing, that girl. Like, you should have seen her skin, her body. She was fit. She was glowing. She was super sexy, attractive. It was great to see her in that way. She started paying off the credit card debt. Now she's debt-free. She started, again, finding a new job. Things started to look up for her. And she was having more and more fun going out and just hanging out with friends. And then I introduced her, and she begged me to tell you guys this. She begged me and she said, you need to tell about birds before land. And I said, okay, I'm gonna do that. So I said, well, now you're gonna have what we call in the law of assumption community and, manifestation community, birds before land, which is a terminology that comes from Flores Scovel-Shinn. Birds before land are practical sign that your manifestation is coming. And usually, I think this is almost scientific at this point. The majority of the time that people are manifesting on SP, random guys or girls come about, they want to date you, exes are coming out of the closet everywhere you go, and that's when you know it's working. And the majority of the people will do, everyone is coming back except him. That's typical, and that's why you shouldn't give up, okay? So that's what happened to her. Now, everywhere she was going, she had men coming at her one after another. She's super pretty girl, but before it wasn't like that. So it's not about aesthetics, She had so many dates, so many people that wanted to text her, so much attention. And then literally during the course of 6 months, because this girl waited 6 months, that's how persistent she was. During the course of 6 months, every single ex of her, every single ex that she ever had came back. And I had a joke and I said, oh my God, your SP is the most stubborn man in the world, because how many birds before land do we need to see? And it was such a joke for the both of us. And then, because this was a long period of time, we were talking about 6 months of visualization, working on self-concept, seeing birds before land. She started to say, you know what? I don't think he's gonna come. And then she started to tell herself a story that I told her to kind of stop doing that story, because I told her, whatever story you tell to yourself, those sooner or later have to become true. And she started thinking, I think he's gonna come in September, because they were neighbors between each other. So he lives on I don't want to put too many details, but they live close to each other. So very, very close to each other. And so he was away for a holiday. And she started saying, I know we're going to see each other in September. I know we're going to see each other in September, and he's going to do this, and that. And I said, you know what? He could come earlier, but you are telling yourself that he's going to come for a specific time. So I just want you to know that that is the time he's going to come, because you are deciding that, you are telling yourself the story. And she said, no, I can feel it. I can feel it. So I said, fine. If you feel naturally that this is the story that is believable for you, go for that and know that it's definitely going to come. So in the process of knowing this, she was going up and down a little bit, because we were talking about 3 months where she was very positive, I will say, then working on self-concept. Then after the 3rd month, not seeing him back, no text, no phone call, no Instagram replies, nothing. She wasn't texting, she wasn't doing anything, and she wasn't seeing anything. 0 results. 0. And she started feeling a little bit, you know, I think it's over, he's never coming back. And obviously the people around her had to mirror that thought, and people started saying, we never liked him, he's no good for you, he will never come back, move on, you need to find someone else. You know, the typical advice that people will give with their logical mind. And she used to come into me and say, you know, this friend said this and this person said that, he'll never come back. Everyone, she used to tell me, Naya, everyone is telling me to give up. And I told her, no, he's coming back. And he said, but how do you know? How do you know? And I'm like, I know, he's coming back. And she kept coming and complaining. And I said, he's coming back. He's coming back. He loves you. But how do you know? He loves you. And I was going over and over. I never for a minute, because I never for a minute thought that he doesn't love her. I never for a minute thought that he was not coming back. I knew that guy was coming back. And I always tell her, I am not going to change my story. I am not going to change the version of my first advice. I'm not. I told you he's coming back. I do not care about whatever is going on around you. He's coming back. So that's what I always tell her. Then I went to London for a holiday, stuff happened to my life, so we weren't really seeing each other a lot anymore, but obviously we kept in touch on the phone, and she was just thinking about herself and having other dates, having other men. And when I was seeing her with these other guys, I said, go for it. Date them, have fun, there is no problem whatsoever. But I just want you to know that if you are asking my opinion, obviously if nobody asks me her opinion, I don't say it apart from YouTube. But she was asking me for my advice and opinion, and I told her, I think your SP is the one for you. And it doesn't matter if he's not doing anything. I don't care what happened in the past. If you guys had toxicity or whatnot, I have a feeling he's the one for you, and that's it. But hang out with this guy does not matter. And again, birds before land, after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. Fast forward to September, he came back in September because she was affirming for it. She said, I told you he's coming back in September. And I said, of course, because you kept saying this for months, so it had to happen. But she said, okay, but I was right. And I was like, yeah, sure, you were right. You were always right. You are always right. You know, every story that you tell yourself, most of the time you're always right, especially the dominant thoughts. So what happened, he came back, and again, nothing was happening, and she was freaking out. I was back in Milano, and I said, okay, let's go to lunch, okay? It's been a while that we didn't see each other. And she was devastated again. She was like, he's not doing anything. This is completely over. I am just losing my mind. And I said, enough. I just told her, we were eating sushi, I remember. I said, enough is enough. I told you he's coming back. Now is the time that you start affirming, any minute now, he's coming back. I don't want to hear any more in September, in October, in November. I don't want to hear any more any months. I just want you to say any minute now, because any minute now, he could knock on your door. Any minute now, he could text you. Any minute now, he could come crawling. Any minute now. And she was like on a loop with this sentence, any minute now. And she said, oh, you know what? At the end of the day, I really just want him to apologize for what he did to me and stuff like that. And I told her, sure, but he's gonna do more. Do you think? And I said, I do think so. And so we went out of the restaurant, and she started screaming, any minute now, any minute now. and we kept saying it on a loop. Any minute now he's coming back. Any minute now he loves you. Any minute now. Any minute now. Over and over and over and over again, but having fun, and it was just so much fun. And she remained in that state for quite a couple of weeks, I will say. So that was very awesome from her end, because she reverted back to a good state of consciousness. And then I knew this day was going to happen. I just knew this day was going to happen. It's just that how many births before land did we need to witness? It was crazy how many births before land she had. It was just freaking crazy. And then I wake up one day, as I visualized one morning, and I got a text from her, and she goes, it happened. And I was like, oh, finally. He came back. It was super sweet. He came back very similarly to what she was telling herself in the specific dynamic of how they were going to meet each other again. But it was very, very cute, because one day she told me that she completely gave up. She was surrendering. She stopped forcing things to happen, because when she was here, she was like, maybe I should go to this place where he is. Maybe I should go here where he is. And, you know, I don't agree with that. I don't think you should push it, right? Because you're not coming from a state of wish fulfilled if you're pushing it. I talked about it in another video. So this particular day, she told me yesterday, she just gave up, and she was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go to the supermarket, have my shopping, have a nice night on my own. It's fine. I'm good anyway. Great. What did the subconscious mind, the universe, God, however you want to call it, it's the same. Genius, because manifestation is always natural and is always perfect. So she's at the supermarket having to put all her stuff, and this is the first time in her life where she's buying so many stuff for some reason. She had an urge to buy so much food and so many stuff to herself. So she had this gigantic bag. She was there at the automatic cash machine paying it, and all of a sudden he shows up. He shows up out of thin air. He shows up. He shows up, and they started talking. And then he said, oh my God, but how are you going to take this stuff home? And she said, I don't know. I got too much food. And she was very natural. And he said, don't worry. I got the car right here. Do you want to pop in and I'll take you back home for the shopping grocery? Perfect. And so they talked, and then an excuse left one another to see each other again. I forgot to mention that he did text her a couple of days before this happened, but this was the full-blown manifestation. So a series of excuses, like I have to give you back a jacket or something. And so one of the couple of next days after the supermarket encounter, he comes back with this jacket and with food for her. And it was very sweet. And basically, he gives her the jacket. They have a nice evening together. And then he says, you know, the jacket was just an excuse. I really wanted to see you. And then what he said, she was kept repeating this because she was mind blown. And she told me he just was making tea, and he turned and said, I just want you to know that I'm a coward, and I was wrong for everything that I did to you, and I am sorry. And she told me these were the 3 things that I visualized for him to say. And I was like, I was blown away. I was so happy for her, and she was so happy yesterday, and she told me, it was so funny, she entered the house and she bowed at my feet, and she was like, let's bow for the goddess. It was hilarious. And I said, stop it. I didn't do anything. And she said, you were the only one among all my friends, parents, whatever, that always believed that this was possible. And it just make me want to cry, because I'm so happy for her. And I just remember them together, and they were such a beautiful couple. And I knew that this time apart, you know, I always told her, no matter what happens, even though in the present moment could sound negative, remember, everything is good. Everything is good. And I always tell her, this separation allowed the both of you to feel better, to work on yourself. And I knew this was true love. I just knew it. And so that was it. And back in the game. I am so happy for her. But this story, I hope, is going to be an inspiration, because if you really feel in your heart that you're really genuinely not obsessed in an unhealthy way, you genuinely know that you guys share true love between each other, you know this within your heart, I don't think you should ever give up on your dreams. You should never give up on your affirmations and visualization. She had to persist for 6 months. And there are some people out there who persist for a lot longer. I always persisted in my dream of being a YouTuber and doing the job that I did. I always persisted in wanting to find my divine match. I never give up on my dreams. And I always got what I wanted, because God listens to us and we are profoundly loved and profoundly supported at all time. And if you don't want to believe in God, just believe that your subconscious mind, your soul, is always supporting you. We are so loved, you guys, and there is nothing stronger than love on this planet. And again, she was giving up. No one was believing in her, and she just had to persist. Persist in what? It's not just persisting in the act of visualization, persisting in the act of affirming, or any method, or whatever it is. It's more about persisting in the self-confidence within yourself, in your heart space, in the knowingness. When you touch your heart at night and you're going to bed, you see that vision in your head that comes natural to you, whatever vision that is, for a dream job or for a love or your SP, you know that this is meant for you. You know that you're supported, and you know you have faith that this is going to unfold no matter what. For me, this is persisting. And if you can have that courage, that innate sense of self-confidence within yourself, even in the moment of up and down, which she did have, depressive moments where she gave up, moments where nobody believed her, moments where she believed in it, it didn't really matter. Because for me, what mattered is that deep down in the core of her being, she never gave up. And she always persisted. And she thought about herself, and she thought about her fun within the unfoldment of the bridge of event, within the unfoldment of this experience. And for me, this is the best SP success stories that I could possibly tell you guys. And it's a true story. Even though I know it's not a client, but it's the story of a friend of mine. It was beautiful how it all unfolded, and I'm so happy for her. So I hope you felt inspired today from the story. I have so many videos that I'm about to film for you guys. I literally channeled so many information that I want to share with you all. So make sure to subscribe and hit the ring bell button so you don't even miss one videos from my community, the NAIA community. And on Patreon, I do also make extra videos, and DM coaching is down below. Love you guys. Remember, nothing is stronger than love. And you're never wrong if you follow love. I love you guys. Bye.